The studio lights on the Kelly Clarkson Show beamed down like captured starlight, giving everything that polished, glimmering look daytime TV was famous for. The audience filled every seat, chattering with anticipation as the theme music swelled. Today's guest wasn't just any singer. It was Adam Lambert, the flamboyant. Magnetic performer whose voice could rip through steel and whose opinions could set the internet ablaze. Kelly walked onto the set first, waving to her audience, her smile as radiant as ever. "Y'all are in for a treat today," she said, her southern lilt catching in her laughter. "He's bold, he's brilliant, he's one of the most fearless artists in the business. Please welcome Adam Lambert." The audience roared as Adam strutted onto the stage in a black velvet suit embroidered with silver detailing. His hair gleamed under the studio lights, and his grin was easy, confident, playful. He gave Kelly a quick hug before taking his seat. "Hey, girl," he said. "You look amazing." Kelly laughed, brushing imaginary dust off her shoulder. "You too, honey. That jacket is giving me rock god meets vampire royalty." The crowd laughed, and for the first few minutes, everything was golden. They talked about Adam's new album, his Vegas residency, his charity work. Clips of his performances rolled on the monitor behind them, and Kelly clapped along, genuinely thrilled by his stage presence. Then, as it often did on live TV, the conversation began to wander. Kelly, ever the professional, pivoted smoothly to a new topic. "So, Adam," she began with a friendly but pointed tone, "you've been really outspoken lately about the music industry and, let's say, how it treats artists differently based on who they are. That sparked a lot of conversation." Adam smiled faintly, leaning forward in his chair. "Yeah, I've always believed if you've got a platform, you should use it. Some people love that, some people don't." Kelly nodded. "Do you ever worry that being too outspoken might turn people off? Like maybe some fans just want to enjoy the music and not get the message all the time?" The audience chuckled softly, sensing the tension starting to thicken. Adam's smile didn't fade, but his eyes sharpened. "I think people can handle the truth, Kelly. Music's never just been about entertainment. It's about expression, about honesty." Of course, Kelly agreed, but sometimes honesty can, backfire. I mean, you know how the internet is. You say one thing and people twist it into 1,000 different meanings. "That's true," Adam said, sitting back now. "But that's not a reason to stay quiet. Silence is worse, especially when the industry has double standards." Kelly's brow furrowed. "Double standards? You mean between genres?" "No," Adam replied, his voice firm but calm. "Between people. Some artists can say whatever they want, act however they want, and it's called authentic. Others, people like me, get called difficult, dramatic, or ungrateful for doing the same thing." The audience murmured, feeling the weight of his words. Kelly tilted her head, trying to keep the tone light. "I get that. I've dealt with my share of criticism, too. People think because I smile a lot, life's been easy, but it hasn't." Adam's smirk twitched. "Sure, but you've also been the industry's golden girl for a long time, Kelly. You say something bold and people call it empowering. I say the same thing, and I'm accused of having an attitude problem." Kelly blinked. The crowd quieted instantly. The band members on the sidelines glanced at each other, unsure whether to laugh or brace for impact. "I don't think that's fair," Kelly said softly. "I've been through a lot, too. Maybe not the same, but—" Adam cut her off, his voice still smooth but edged with iron. "I'm not saying you haven't. I'm saying there's a pattern. You fit what they want to see. I had to claw my way into the spotlight and keep fighting to stay there." The tension in the room crackled like static. Kelly shifted in her chair, her fingers tightening around her cue cards. "I just think," she began carefully, "that sometimes leading with kindness gets you further than leading with confrontation." Adam laughed under his breath, the kind of laugh that wasn't really a laugh at all. "Kindness?" He leaned closer, his eyes locking onto hers. "Kindness is great when it's not used to avoid the truth." The crowd gasped quietly, and Kelly's practiced smile faltered for just a heartbeat. "I don't avoid the truth," she said. Adam didn't blink. "Then why are you trying to downplay what I'm saying?" The producer gestured wildly behind the cameras for a commercial break, but Kelly ignored it. She leaned forward now, her voice soft but laced with heat. Because maybe not every conversation has to turn into a fight. Adam. The backstage area of the Kelly Clarkson Show was usually a place of laughter and coffee-fueled chatter. Makeup artists comparing playlists, assistants whispering updates, publicists checking their phones. But now it was silent, the kind of silence that followed lightning after it struck the ground. A dozen people moved in hurried whispers, avoiding each other's eyes. Somewhere down the corridor, a producer was swearing under his breath, trying to figure out how to salvage a segment that had just imploded live on air. Adam Lambert stood near the exit, his back against the wall, the stage light still burning in his head. His heart hadn't slowed. He could still hear Kelly's voice replaying in his mind, sharp but wounded, and his own, louder, harder than he'd meant. He wasn't sorry for what he'd said. He was sorry that it had come to that. Adam, his assistant murmured, handing him a bottle of water. You should sit down for a minute. I'm fine, he said, though his throat was dry and his pulse was thrumming against his temples. He twisted the bottle open anyway, more for something to do than from thirst. It's just, they don't want the truth. They want the story. A producer hurried up, mid-30s, headset still looped around his neck, voice tight. Hey, Adam, he began carefully. We just want to make sure you're okay. That was unexpected. Adam looked at him unamused. Unexpected? I told the truth. If that's what counts as unexpected, maybe you should book safer guests. The producer winced slightly. Look, no one's blaming you. It's just, you know how this stuff plays? The internet's already lighting up. Of course it is, Adam muttered, glancing toward the hallway that led back to the stage. They'll clip it, twist it, spin it until it's something it wasn't. The producer offered a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. That's showbiz. Adam's laugh was short and humorless. Yeah, that's exactly the problem. Down the corridor, Kelly's voice carried faintly, bright, cheerful, forced. She was wrapping up the last segment of the show with the kind of resilience only years of live television could teach. But everyone backstage could hear the strain beneath it. And that's all for today, y'all. Remember, kindness always wins, she said, and though the audience applauded dutifully, there was a tremor in her tone that betrayed her calm. When the cameras cut and the red light blinked off, Kelly's smile vanished. She exhaled, long and quiet, her hand brushing against her chest. Her stage manager said something. She nodded absently, then walked toward the backstage area, her heels clicking against the polished floor. When she appeared in the doorway, the tension doubled. Conversation stopped. Assistants melted into corners. She looked composed, her posture perfect, her dress unwrinkled. But her eyes were tired, guarded. She spotted Adam instantly. For a moment, neither moved. The world seemed to narrow to the space between them. Then Kelly spoke, her voice calm, deliberate. Adam. He turned, bottle still in hand, expression unreadable. Kelly. I didn't expect it to go that way, she said, walking closer. I thought we were just having a conversation. Adam crossed his arms, meeting her gaze. You asked a question. I answered it. You didn't just answer, she said softly. You went for me. On live television. He shook his head, frustrated. That's not what I was doing. I wasn't attacking you. I was calling out the system, the bias, the double standard. You took it personally. Kelly's lips pressed together. You made it personal when you said I had it easy. You don't think compared to others you did? He countered. Her jaw tightened. You don't know my story, Adam. You know the highlight reel, the songs, the smile. But I've fought too. I've been ripped apart from my weight, my voice, my relationships. I've had to prove myself over and over, just in a different way. He hesitated. Her voice wasn't angry. It was weary. Did the system forget what it does to those who are still trying to climb it? Kelly nodded slowly. Maybe, or maybe some of us are just trying to keep the peace while we fix it from the inside. A moment of silence passed between them. Not angry, not awkward, just human. The air seemed to loosen. Finally, Adam sighed, running a hand through his hair. I shouldn't have walked off. Kelly tilted her head. No, you probably shouldn't have. But I get why you did. He smiled faintly. You handled it better than most would have. Kelly smirked, a spark of her humor returning. Please, you think that's the first time someone stormed off my set? Honey, I host live TV for a living.